Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
Good morning, Mr. Horn.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Miss Gordon is here. We've already gone through her advice of rights in a landlord-tenant case. She was here a little early and we had some time. I've got Miss Gordon, we're gonna be in a court proceeding and you're on screen, so I'd ask if you don't vape while we're doing this court proceeding. And we'll get it done. I've also got someone that's joined us by telephone. Who is that person?
That's Sherry.
Who?
Sherry, I own the Andy Brock properties.
All right.
Your Honor, she's my client. She's a member of Andy Brock Property LLC.
All right. All right. Well, we've gone through the rights. This is a non-payment of rent case. Legal aid has not joined us today. I'm not sure what the issue is, but in this case, rent is $230.77, I think, per week. Rearage is substantial, $3,200 plus. Mr. Horn, what's the current status?
Your Honor, I contacted my client. As of yesterday, no payments have been made. As you noted, there's a substantial balance. At this point, nearly $5,000.
Yeah, what is the arrearage?
I have it at $4,815.40
Through what date?
through today.
Through 2/21/25. Court costs are $130 filing fee, $49.10 service fee. Our service fees are a bargain. And $75 statutory attorney fee, $254.10. Plus $48.15. 40 equals 4,000. That's not right. 485.40. Operator error on the adding machine. 254. 5,069.50 through today. Miss Gordon, what's your position here?
Well, that's not what I added up, but either way, I was working for Miss Morris, and she allowed me to rent the property from her. The agreement for me to move in, I had to pay $1,000, plus I had to, but at the time, we were only communicating through another person, which was her assistant at the time. I think I spoke to Miss Sherry one time about the situation, and she had told me that I couldn't move in fully. She didn't want me to move in fully until I got all the utilities and everything changed to my name, which took about 3 weeks. And then because I had waited for the water company, and then the water company.
Let me stop you. You have a lease dated September 13th of 2024. They say you've only paid your rent through that. Have you ever paid any rent since that date of the lease?
But see that I wasn't able to even move into that place. So it's $230 a week. I wasn't even able to move in there for 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks actually, after I paid the first initial $1,000. And then from there,
let me ask this. When did you last make a rent payment?
December.
Do you agree with that, Miss Morris?
I am looking at it right now, and the only rent payment that I got from her I'm looking at it right now, was when she first moved in, and that was at 6, I think it was, she never even paid the full dollar amount that we talked about before moving in.
The
All right, so
$1,000.
when do you show last rent was paid?
I'm looking. I have it in my head.
I'm sorry, my last payment was in November.
All right, well, it's now February. You either have to pay the rent or move out. Now, if looking at the picture, from what I see, it looks like a nice apartment. You got it nicely decorated. But you can't just continue to live there if you're not paying any rent. So what's your position?
I understand, and I had somebody that was going to be a roommate that actually apparently spoke to Miss Sherry that was going to catch up the rent for me, and Sherry said she wasn't interested, which I understand
Well-
because I was already so far behind at that time. But I was going to pay it up. You know what I mean? But I had gotten real sick. I wasn't able to work for a couple weeks. By the time I got back, able to come back to work, I was already replaced.
All right, well,
So,
the law requires that I adjourn this 7 days, which takes us to next Friday. So let's take a look at that. I was in the calendar and I got out of it. Next, that takes us to March 7th.
2 weeks out here.
March 28th, sorry about that. February 20, I'm gonna get the right month, February 28th. Today's the 21st. 10:30, February 28th. Does that work for you, Mr. Horn?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Gordon, there may be some dispute about how much is owed. You contend that maybe you weren't able to take possession, but as a practical matter, you haven't paid any rent since either September or your version is November. So that's week to week at $230 per week, and it adds up pretty quickly. And it doesn't appear that you're going to have the ability to catch up on the rent. So no matter what the number is, let's say in a week from now, it'll be an additional $230.77. So it would be about $5,300 that would be due. And then that would be in 10 days and another $230 would be due. So my suggestion is you keep the money that you have and be prepared to vacate. Now, when I see you next,
preparing to vacate.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have been preparing to vacate.
All right.
I'm not just trying to freeload or anything. It's just been real hard.
Yeah, so people are struggling, especially if you lose your job, you have health problems. But by the same token, the landlords are struggling. When their tenant doesn't make the payment, they can't make their payment. They've got taxes, overhead, interest on the loan, principal payment, and so everybody suffers. But
I
the
understand.
solution, and she probably has a waiting list of people that wish to move in. But what I was about to tell you is, if I make a finding next week and they get what they ask for, you would have until March 8th to vacate. That's actually a Saturday. It usually doesn't work that way, but let me see. 28th to the 8th. Yeah, you'd have till March 8th or essentially March 10th to vacate, or you'd be subject to being evicted. So we'll discuss that further. If I had a tissue here, I'd give it to you, but I don't.
Thank you.
So I do have one here, but you're there and I'm here. So
Right.
we'll talk about this again by Zoom. You did a good job of logging in. Next Friday, February 28th at 10:30. The law requires that I do that. But then if you can't pay the rent, you'd have 10 days from that day, which would be March 8th plus the weekend, March 10th to vacate. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't. And I just wanted to apologize, It wasn't intentional.
No, it never is. At least almost never is. You're just doing the best you can, but they've got to make their payments. So I guess my advice is you continue to see if you can find a place to move to. You have about 20 days from today to vacate.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you then. Mr. Horn, I'll see you then too.
Sounds good. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Someone just called my office while I was out, talked to my secretary. I couldn't find any cookies. All I found was some cauliflower, which isn't quite the same. They want to know how much I make off this YouTube channel. And the answer is none. YouTube apparently makes money off this channel, but the court or the county or certainly me don't get any money from the YouTube channel. I do certainly appreciate all the people that watch these proceedings, but we don't make any money off of it. And certainly thank you to all the people that have subscribed. They like to see you when Mr. Bland is here. All right, we have one matter left. I blocked out an hour. It's the somewhat complicated matter of Clifton Harder versus Casey James Cap. Mr. Bush and Mr. Bland are meeting right now to discuss this case. And it's an odd set of facts. I'm going to stop the live feed and stop the record. And when they come back, we'll go back live again. Call the case. The title of the case is Clifton Harder, H-A-R-D-E-R versus Casey John Cap. Mr. Harder is here with his lawyer, Victor Bland. Casey Cap is here. And who are you folks?
Amy Watson. I also live on the property.
Okay, and you, sir?
I'm Tim Coyle.
All right, and so Tim Coyle is actually the owner of the property, so
That's
let
correct.
me sort this out. Let me make a note here. So you live with Casey Cap? I'm gonna ask if you take your gum out, please. Amy Watson?
They are husband and wife, Your Honor.
All right. And Clifton Harder is here with his lawyer, Victor Bland. I learned this morning about a new player in this matter, who would be Tim Coyle. Mr. Coyle, you are presently the owner of this property on Burke Road.
Yes, sir.
Let me recap a little bit. This is, I think, only the second time we've been here, but this started out as a termination of tenancy action filed by Clifton Harder against Casey Cap. Mr. Bland filed the action. The notice to quit, well, I'll back up. This points out the benefit of having competent counsel as a landlord-tenant defendant. Most landlord-tenant defendants can't afford an attorney. This defendant, Mr. Cap, hired Mr. Howard Bush, who's a very experienced property lawyer and also landlord-tenant attorney. I wasn't clear what the heck we were dealing with. Mr. Harder filed the action against Mr. Cap. Mr. Bush filed an answer alleging that a number of things, that there was no lease filed. So somebody gave me some sort of purchase agreement. I had it here, and I think a rent-to-own contract. Mr. Bush marked it as Exhibit A at our last hearing. It's between Casey Cap and DC Investments. Well, DC Investments isn't a party to this action. I don't know who DC Investments is. I understand there may be a subsequent rent-to-own contract that Mr. Bush has in his possession. So then I learned through Mr. Bush's pleadings that Mr. Harder doesn't have title to the property. The owner of the property is Mr. Tim Coyle, who was apparently selling the property on a land contract to Clifton Harder. While he was purchasing the property under the land contract, Mr. Harder apparently allegedly then sold the property on a rent-to-own contract to Casey Cap. Although I don't know who DC Investments is. I don't have anything with Clifton Harder's name on it. I'm not clear that Mr. Harder even has standing to bring this action. Mr. Coyle is here on his own behalf to address his own interest. So I met with the lawyers in chambers and they've been working on this. What I understand is the parties at this point are asking to adjourn this matter for about 90 days and allow the parties to continue to work on this. If I understand it, somebody wants to buy out the land contract or make sure the original land contract is completed, and then either that or buy out Mr. Harder in the middle. So I'm not sure what we've got here, but it certainly is confusing. So Mr. Bland, I'll defer to you and hopefully maybe you can help clear me up a little bit.
I think I'm not confused, and we'll try to go from that basis. First off, there is an agreement to adjourn this for 90 days. Hopefully during that time, the defendants can get financing to essentially buy out the remainder of the amortization table. In the
All
meantime,
right, now just a minute. Buy it out from who?
well, I have a rent-own contract. It's a subsequent one. It's between Mr. Harder and these defendants.
And I have a copy of that also.
And so I don't think I've got filed with the court, but there is a subsequent one. It's all, and that's what I'm basing it off of.
All right, so there's a subsequent rent-to-own contract between Mr. Harder and Mr. Cap, which I don't have. What's the date of it?
Good question, Judge.
It was acknowledged
Looks like-
on the 19th day of June 23. Look at the acknowledgement.
Yep, I agree. There's a notarization of
All
June.
right, then I also understand that there's some issue regarding how accurate the amortization is. So there may be a dispute about that.
There may be, but we've also agreed that we will procure title insurance. And I think in the process of doing that, we can figure out how to get the property from Mr. Coyle to Mr. Harder. Because I'm sure they're going to want that clear title too. I understand defendants want clear title. Frankly, I want them to have clear title when we end up with this.
That was one of my prerequisites for any sale on this thing, to make sure we do have marketable title to the seller, to the buyer.
Mr. Coyle, would you come up to the podium?
Yes, sir.
And Judge, can we give you, or can we have a copy made of this, what I call
I
the
have an
subsequent?
extra one.
Yes, I would like that.
You can just
Here.
take this.
You've got an extra copy.
No, I need a copy back.
Oh, but Howard has an extra copy.
Here's one.
All right, why don't you get Howard's? We'll give that one back to Victor.
I got
No, I
an
don't
extra
think
one.
so.
Thank you.
All right. Your name, sir, what's your full name?
Timmy Ernest Coyle.
And you are presently the title holder of this property at Brook
Yes, Your
Road?
Honor. I'm not willing to release it until restitution is made from the property that was taken off of the property while I was in the Philippines. And Mr. Harder
All right,
knew.
all right, well, let's back up a minute. So
Okay,
you have a land contract with Mr. Harder.
yes,
When was that?
that was in 2014. I don't remember the exact date. Because he was,
All right, has that land contract been paid off?
no,
All right,
the contract was broken the very day that I was going to the Philippines. He moved his ex-wife in. The very day I was gone, I wasn't able to get any of my property out.
all right, well, this may need to be determined. So right now, Mr. Harder can't provide title to this property to the Caps. So even if Caps paid Mr. Harder $500,000, he can't sell it to them until he gets a deed from you.
That's correct.
And you contend that Mr. Harder owes you money.
Yes, sir.
All right, how, in the neighborhood, how much?
Probably somewhere, I don't know, I'd have to add everything up. It was taken, but probably close to $5,000 or $6,000.
All right, so what the lawyers propose is not unreasonable. Let's adjourn this for 90 days, see if we can figure this all out, get you made whole, so you can give a deed to Mr. Harder. And then the Caps can then pay off Mr. Harder on an agreed upon amount. There's a dispute about how much is owed between the Caps and Mr. Harder. I don't think Mr. Harder could even do this in the first place. I don't think he can sell a property under a half-ass rent-to-own contract that he's buying under a land contract that hasn't been completed. But that notwithstanding, everyone is gonna try to see if, with two good lawyers, see if we can work this out. Where do you live, Mr. Coyle?
I'm at Maple Towers Apartments in Sturgis. But that's not my mailing address. My mailing address I have at a friend's house
All right,
because I go to the Philippines, and
what do you do in the Philippines?
my wife that I haven't seen since 2018 is there. I have 3 stepdaughters and 2 grandchildren. My oldest is now 6. I haven't seen him since he was 9 months old.
Well, all right, good luck with that. My kids have been to the Philippines and liked
I
it a
love it.
lot.
I want to live there.
All right, so let's see where, yes, Mr. Bland?
I'd like to ask Mr. Coyle just a couple questions, if
All
I
right.
could. Mr. Coyle, do you know what the balance is just on the land contract without the alleged damages?
I've requested my bank records. I'm waiting for them to come in.
Okay, so the answer
not
is you
sure.
don't know.
I'm not sure, no.
Okay, and then I don't want to go through a long laundry list, but allegedly what was removed from the property?
Well, I had, of course, my clothing, Cub Cadet mower, Yardman snow thrower, Honda generator, my 91 Dodge Dakota that I just put a lot of money in the engine. It was torn down completely and dismantled. I did not sign a title over to him.
Why did you leave all that property there?
Why did I leave it there?
Yes.
Because he rushed me to the airport. I didn't have time to get anything out of there, Your Honor.
All right, well, all right, if you guys can untie that knot, more power to you, but some of that's your own fault, I guess, but nonetheless, they can't do anything till he gets a title from you.
Mhm.
And so you hold some of the important cards. All right. So 90 days from today, maybe the snow will be melted by then. Today's February 21st, March 21st, April 18th, May 23rd. Let's set this for May 23rd at 11 o'clock.
When?
May 23rd,
That may be a problem with me.
okay,
Could we do it a week later?
May 30th.
We're scheduled to be on vacation May 7 or 16 through a week.
Well, all right, let's take a look. May 16 would be where I would have put it. You'll be gone the 16th, the 19th, and the 23rd.
Yeah, I think we
26th.
get back the 22nd or 23rd.
All right, well, the 26th is Memorial Day. The 30th, I'm gone. That takes us to June. I'm gone then too. June 6th, I'm gone. June 13th at 11 o'clock. About 100 days.
June 16th at 11.
June 13th.
I'm sorry.
I will receive the second rent-to-own contract.
I know.
We'll call it defendants exhibit B.
Mr. Coyle, is that a copy of your land contract?
Yes.
You may or may not wish to give it, allow the judge to look at that.
Okay, there's some stuff on here that
All right,
I don't
we'll
really
hold off on
recognize.
that. I've received the rent-to-own contract dated.
Got a copy.
June 13th, I guess. And my advice to everybody, you went to counsel after the wheels fell off. If you'd gone to attorney first, we wouldn't even be here because they could have helped solve some of these problems. So between now and June 13th, Mr. Harder is gonna try to get squared away with Mr. Coyle. And if that can happen and Mr. Coyle can provide a title to Mr. Harder, then Mr. Harder and Mr. Cap are gonna try to get squared away. Mr. Cap isn't gonna be able to get any sort of financing for this property unless the plaintiff can prove that he can provide a title. So as I said, we got two good lawyers on this. The parties seem to be willing to try to all get to the same finish line. But some of those items, Mr. Coyle, may be outside the land contract. You have a
All the
land.
property was to be maintained until I was
All
able
right,
to get
well,
to it.
I don't have a contract in front of me. But, all right, so do you wish to provide a copy of that to me?
Sure.
Mr. Bush, is that your only copy?
We have,
All right,
Your Honor, as far as personal contact with Mr. Harder, I have witnesses that heard him say the next time he saw that little SOB, he was going to put a bullet between his eyes, which
that being
that
you?
doesn't, that doesn't go with me well.
Probably not.
I worked armed security for 16 years, Your Honor, and I don't take threats lightly.
Well, we don't need threats. We need a solution. And so everybody's gonna need to cooperate with each other and somewhat maybe be flexible. All right, so receive land contract Mr. Coyle, do you have a copy of this land contract?
Um,
You just gave me the only one.
that was my copy.
No,
Well-
no, that was my copy.
Oh, that was
I
your copy?
requested the records from the court and printed a copy from you. so
All
you
right,
have a
thank
copy, and I can send
Laura,
you
would-
one if you-
So Laura, would you come and make a copy of this for me? Okay, hopefully you guys can come to a solution by June 13th. If you can't, we'll address it further. As I advised Mr. Bland and Mr. Bush, I have some reservations whether Mr. Harder even has standing to bring this matter. But that doesn't leave you anywhere, Mr. Coyle. It leaves you with a land contract that hasn't been fulfilled and somebody in your house. So if I take Mr. Harder out of the matter, you would have to pursue a land contract forfeiture or foreclosure against Mr. Harder and then an eviction of the caps. So it's in everybody's best interest to try to settle this case. Otherwise, you're all gonna end up with extensive attorney fees. Nobody's gonna get any money. You're gonna be in litigation for 2 years. So it's in everybody's best interest to try to cooperate with each other to get a deed from Mr. Coyle to Mr. Harder and some sort of a property transfer from Mr. Harder to Mr. and Mrs. Cap.
I don't want to see them get evicted, Your Honor.
All right,
I mean, he's done a lot of work in there and it was a mess when they moved in.
all right. Well, that's good to know. So you kind of left it in bad shape?
No,
and let-
sir.
Oh,
I did not leave it in bad. He moved his ex-wife in
All right, so it got.
and
got
she
di-
destroyed it. Well, she
okay,
was
So
there.
it got wrecked after you left.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And before my people got it,
all right. And then Mr. Cap has made improvements. There's an issue regarding some sort of out structure built by skids or something. You could get sideways with the township regarding a unauthorized building. And I'm not sure, maybe some of it was previously there, got added to. That's not a part of this, but just to let you know that if the township does cite somebody, the citation would actually go to the land contract holder or the original owner. So again, it's in everybody's interest to get this matter resolved. All right, I'm interested in looking at the second rent-to-own contract and the actual rent-to-own contract and the land contract. So you got one for your records, Mr. Coyle.
Yes, sir.
No need for threats or discord or call anybody names or threaten to kick somebody's butt. You need to work together for your own interest to get this resolved. So discord is just gonna make this harder and more expensive. So Mr. Bush and Mr. Bland can help try to get a solution here. Who drew up the land contract for you?
Mr. Harder.
All right. Okay. All right, you're all good to go. Thank you. While you're all here, you're certainly welcome to sit down and talk to each other. It's out in the conference room.
I would note that the contract between Coyle and Harder is recorded. If the court would know.
I see that.
But Your Honor, I was in the Philippines and I didn't have time to issue any site. I didn't know how to get a hold of him. I had no phone number, no Gmail, nothing to get a hold of him to let him know that I was filing papers because he broke the contract when he moved her in.
All right, well, you didn't do anything about it. That was
I
6
couldn't, I
years
was in the
ago.
Philippines, Your Honor.
Well, you've had 6 years to do something. When did you get back?
I've been going back and forth ever since 2014.
Well, you said you haven't
Up
seen
till
your son
20
in 6 years.
Up until 2018, yes,
So you've been back since 2018?
yes.
All right, well, you've had plenty of time to take care of this. Anyway, let's take care of it. Everybody's here. You got 2 lawyers, you got 3 people that want the same answer. See if you can resolve it. All right, you're all good to go.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. I think the first thing is you gotta get a deed.
Well, it's either that or you have to sue him for specific performance. I think my dad did pay it. It's got all this other stuff.
What he's saying is basically it's personal property that you didn't get a chance to move out of.
But that doesn't affect the right contract if it's paid.
It's still a little bit, let me know.
Oh, I didn't mention, there's an escrow order in place. Mr. Cap is supposed to be paying $403 a month into escrow. Gentlemen?
For mortgage until we got title. You know, it's title.
Mr. Bush and Mr. Bland, there's an escrow order in place and Mr. Cap is supposed to be paying $403 a month escrow to the court. You were supposed to pay November, December, January, February, $403 per month. So have you made any payment toward that?
We supposed to pay it today, I thought.
No, well, you're supposed to pay it to the court.
Yeah, today.
You know, if you pay it today, great.
Yes.
All right, I'll note defendant will pay escrow today. Very
We also
good.
took care of the property tax too,
Okay,
for this summer tax.
Summer and winter.
Yeah,
That was another
yeah,
issue.
we had an extra one that wasn't mentioned, but we took care of.
I kind of had an issue with the property tax too with Mr. Hurd.
all right, so yeah, add some further confusion in there. It's gonna be a tax foreclosure action. So, all right, you're gonna pay the escrow today and the taxes summer and
No, no.
winter.
No, taxes are already paid.
We did
Okay,
pay the taxes.
all right,
are
taxes
fine.
were paid. Very good.
There was a summer tax that they just came out with and we paid that too.
Well, you guys have certainly got the best claim to this. You've been living in it, you've been making payments. There's a dispute as to how much is paid. I'm gonna hold the payments from now until June. And then when we figure out who's who, I'll
Make 'em here.
disperse the
Yeah.
payments. All right, you're good to go. Go out and pay that escrow out at the counter.
Your Honor, if I might add this one,
One thing. about
During the
it,
time
you make the
that when I
payments here,
first
this
started
thing
this contract,
blows up.
Mr. Harder wanted me to keep the taxes in my name.
We
Because I
knew about
homesteaded it
where it's
and I was
going
tax
and
exempt.
that.
And I told him that that's not
So,
gonna
I
happen.
mean, it's your
All right, well,
benefit
that's
to
another
make
wrinkle in
monthly
this
payments
convoluted
here.
Gordian knot, but let's see if we can untie it. All right, you're good to go. All right, so that is officially known in the legal world as a big giant mess. But hopefully they can undo it.